Hey guys, and welcome to Only in Asia. We've got Alan Shea on the show with us again today.
What up, guys?
So today we're going to be looking at the 10 most iconic buildings in Asia, traditional version.
Yes, very true.
Now, of course, there's more than 10 awesome traditional buildings in Asia, but this is just our short list.
Right.
So what have we got?
Okay, so we're going to start off in India. So the Taj Mahal was constructed in the 1600s AD, and it was constructed by Shah Jahan. And it was a memorial dedicated to his second wife, second out of three. He had 14 kids with her, and unfortunately, very busy man. Unfortunately, she died giving birth to their 14th child.
So did she see it or not? She didn't see it.
She didn't see it, unfortunately. And this is a beautiful, beautiful piece of architecture. I mean, it took 20 years to build. And it's completely made out of marble, and it has tons of jewels encrusted all over its surface. And the best part is, no matter which direction you look at it, it's completely symmetrical, so you've seen it. Wow.
So why did they name it after the Taj Mahal trio, the blues trio?
Ben, no. This came first. This came first a long time ago.
So we have the Potala Palace in Tibet, and this site has been the center of Tibetan Buddhism for a long, long time, and there's been a palace at this location since the 7th century AD. The buildings that you see today in the Potala Palace they began construction in 1645, and that was the 5th Dalai Lama who constructed it. And of course, the last resident of the palace was the 14th Dalai Lama, who of course fled Tibet after the Chinese invasion.
Right, because of his friendship with Brad Pitt.
Well, it wasn't because of his friendship. Anyway, so actually, this is the traditional winter palace of the Dalai Lama.
Like, what, does he have like a summer home?
He does, but it's like literally just down the road.
No, there can't be much of a temperature difference, right? It's just,
there's not. No. He's not like a migrating bird who
It's not like he has a beach house or something.
No, it's not like that. It's not like he goes down to Florida for the winter or anything like that. No, basically he has a summer house that's kind of in some gardens in Lhasa, and then this is his winter residence. I don't know why. So the building's at the center of Lhasa, or the capital of Tibet. And it's built on a hill. It's actually 3,700 meters above sea level, which makes it the highest palace in the world. The average thickness of the walls is 3 meters. That's like 9 feet. Wow. Yeah. And it's split. It's quite interesting. It's split into 2 sections, the White Palace and the Red Palace. The white sections are more like the Dalai Lama's residence areas, and the red sections are reserved for spiritual study, and there's Buddhist chapels, etc. in there. The palace contains 698 murals and over 10,000 painted scrolls. Okay, what have we got next?
Okay, so we talked about the highest temple in the world. Now I'm going to talk about one of the largest. No.
The lowest, right? That's the opposite.
I don't think that's a thing. Maybe there is one. I'm going to talk to you about the largest religious kind of compound in the world, which is Angkor Wat. Located in the jungles of Cambodia. Now this, I guess I'd call it a city almost. It actually is more of a city. Was constructed in the early 12th century by King Suryavarman.
You're probably pronouncing that wrong.
I butchered it.
Yeah,
okay,
just a disclaimer there.
So it was estimated at the peak of this city, there were 1 million people living in it, and that makes it one of the largest cities in pre-industrial time. So it was a economic, cultural, and religious center in Southeast Asia.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was also originally conceived as a Hindu city, but it was later converted to Buddhism. Yeah,
and it's lucky that it survived the Pol Pot era in Cambodia, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it was tucked away in the jungle, so it wasn't.
That's why, I guess.
I guess that's why. Yeah, maybe because of its remoteness. And I think what made it famous was actually like the Tomb Raider movie.
That was shot there, wasn't it?
The Tomb Raider movie was shot there, and they spent, I think, like $10,000 a day renting that place out. Which actually isn't that bad. If you think about like a movie
It's not that bad. No, it's not.
I just wonder if they're like shooting bullet
I wonder how much
holes.
the insurance cost for that.
Oh yeah, like you destroy one of their sandstone, like, like buildings by accident. Like you can't rebuild those.
So the Hanging Temple or Hanging Monastery, is in Shanxi province in China, at the foot of Mount Hengshan. And this was built about 1,500 years ago in the year, I think, 491 AD, during the Northern and Southern Dynasties period.
That is impressive.
It's impressive. It's lasted a long time. And it's built basically in the side of a cliff.
That's crazy because like nowadays you have like Chinese municipal buildings that are built on ground that last for like 10 years.
Tofu construction.
And then they collapse.
Yeah.
Wow. That's ancient Chinese construction for you, man.
So this is built in the side of a cliff. It's 300 feet above the valley floor. And it was built 1,500 years ago, but it was renovated in the Ming and Qing dynasties. And this is actually interesting. This is the only ancient Chinese temple that has a relationship with China, all three of China's religions, Buddhism, Taoism, and Confucianism. And so it was featured actually on Time magazine's top 10 precarious buildings.
Okay. So like Leaning Tower of Pisa was, I guess, one of them.
Yeah. And the Ultra Tower and some castles on top of cliffs in Liechtenstein. But actually, I don't think it's precarious at all. I mean, I think it seems reasonably stable. The foundations are built into the cliff, and then the parts that jut out over the cliff, they have these wooden stakes that are like these wooden supports that are then put into holes drilled into the rock. Wooden
stakes holding up. That's pretty impressive. I mean, again, that's good construction right there. Here's another cool thing that's built in the side of a cliff. Petra.
Oh.
Now, this is located in modern-day Jordan, and originally this city was established during Hellenistic times as a trading city on the Silk Road in between the West and the East.
Oh, okay.
Now, what's really interesting about the city is the fact that they built an extremely complex water storage system, which allows them to sustain, I think it was around 30,000 people at its peak. You might have seen this the city in Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade.
Yes. So that facade that you see, is that like the main door?
Yes, that is that's the iconic image. But unfortunately, I've heard that a lot of the local Bedouin tribes used to use that facade as like shooting practice. So there's a lot of bullet holes in there. But I mean, it's like safe now to go to, and it's definitely on my list of places to go because it just looks so cool.
So the Golden Pavilion in Japan, it's in Kyoto in Japan. It was originally part of a villa which was purchased in the year 1397 by a guy called Ashikaga Yoshimitsu.
Okay, the guy from Tekken.
No, this guy. He looks like he's falling asleep, but anyway, this guy here. Not the Tekken. And so after Yoshimitsu died...
When he was KO'd in the face by Eddie's roundhouse kick.
Eddie?
Yeah, Eddie.
You use Eddie?
Yeah, the breakdancing moves. I sucked at Tekken.
Dude, it's all about Panda. Come on. Anyway, all right, so after Yoshimitsu died, the real Yoshimitsu, it was converted into a Buddhist temple by his son.
Okay.
But sadly, in the year 1950, a disgruntled junior Buddhist monk did an arson on it and burnt it down. So he burned it down, he tried to kill himself, but failed, and was then arrested, and he was put in jail for 7 years. But he was released early because of mental illness or something. He got off because of mental illness, but then he died in 1955 anyway because of tuberculosis.
Well, that is a horrible story, man.
Could say it was karma.
Yeah, maybe.
So don't go burning down any Buddhist temples, because it'll catch up to you. The building was restored in 1955, and when we say restored, we actually really mean basically rebuilt, because if you have a look at this photo after the fire...
It was burnt down.
It's basically a shell. I mean, hardly anything remained of it. So, and each floor has a different architectural design. The roof is thatched, and there's a golden phoenix on top of the roof. And you could say it even looks better than it did before the fire. Because if you look, this is a painting of what it looked like before the fire, the original design, and this is actually what it looks like now. And this is in Kyoto, so like if you go to Japan and you want to see more traditional buildings, as opposed to Tokyo, which is very modern, if you go over to Kyoto, you can see a lot of the traditional architecture there. That's what I would recommend.
Temple of the Emerald Buddha, which is located in Bangkok, Thailand. Now, there are a lot of temples in Thailand and Bangkok, actually, and this is one of the most iconic and sacred temples. The centerpiece is a 26-inch tall Buddha statue carved out of jade. So only the king was allowed to touch this statue at the time. So it was a very sacred object.
Wow. Yeah. What would happen if someone else touched it?
I don't know. You'd probably get your head chopped off or something horrible like that. But anyway, it's located in...
touch it. Just don't. You know.
Don't touch it, yeah. But anyway, it's located in central Bangkok. It's really easy to go. I definitely recommend you check it out. Just make sure you wear the appropriate clothing.
Bodhanath Stupa in Nepal. I'm totally pronouncing that wrong, but it's located in Kathmandu, which is the capital of Nepal, which is in the Himalayas, just above India. This is one of the largest Buddhist stupas in the world. The stupa is actually that dome structure you see. Now, it was probably built around the 14th century. It's a Tibetan Buddhist site and one of the most important Tibetan Buddhist sites outside of Tibet. You know, when the Chinese invaded Tibet, Tibetan refugees started flooding into Nepal.
Oh, yes.
And this Tibetan Buddhist stupa actually is on the entrance route to Kathmandu if you're coming from Tibet.
It's it's kind of like... It's a beacon of hope for them, kind of.
Yes, I mean, it's kind of like at the end of the historic route from Tibet to Kathmandu. Right. So these Tibetan refugees would arrive in Kathmandu sort of at this point, and then they actually set up a load of Buddhist monasteries around there. So there's actually 50 gompas, or Tibetan Buddhist monasteries, in this area around this monument. And you know, people walk around it to pay their respects, and they turn the prayer wheels and stuff. Right. And there's actually there's a cool little myth about it that there was this really nasty guy who owned a store or something near there, and he was nasty to everyone. He accumulated loads of bad karma, and he had a lot of sins. And then when he died, he went down to hell, and he was about to be judged by the king of hell and punished. And then the Buddha intervened and said that, you know, one time he was chasing a dog, and he actually did one full circle around this monument. Ah,
that's funny.
And he was saved. He was given another chance by the Buddha. So like, if you go there, like, walk around it, guys. Just go around it as many times as you can.
Don't wait for a dog to, you know, chase you or something like that. Yeah. Okay, now this is what I think is the best thing to see in Beijing, and that is the Forbidden City.
Oh, yes.
This sprawling complex is 1.6 million square feet. It's absolutely enormous.
Whoa.
It takes like a day to see this thing. And it was the imperial court from the Ming Dynasty, 1420s, until the Qing Dynasty in the 1900s. It's rumored that the Forbidden City has 9,999 rooms.
Well, what do you mean rumored? Because, like, can't they count them?
Well, no, because a lot of things have been damaged, and you can't really exactly tell how many rooms there were.
Originally.
Yeah, I think right now there's about, like, there's over 8,000, I think, like that. It's definitely not 9,999 now.
Okay. So why that number? Why?
So the reason was, it was rumored that God had 10,000 rooms. So the emperor can't obviously have more, so he has one less, 9,999, which is still a little bit...
He's the son of God. He's the son of
the
gods.
Which is a little bit close, though. You know,
it
should have made it like
maybe
8,000, just in case you didn't make an extra room.
Even
or
7,000,
like
maybe. Okay, so like, so who lived here?
So anyway, this was not only a house for the emperor, it was also a house for his courtesans. You know, a lot of people in the royal court. But yeah, and this was a city that was completely forbidden for normal common folk. You wouldn't be able to go inside and enjoy the amazing, you know, plazas and temples inside of it. Unfortunately, nowadays it's packed full of tour groups. So it is a little
very commercialized. Right?
It's very commercialized, like to the point where I believe I remember seeing like an American Express plaque on a lot of the restored buildings. I think they helped with the restoration.
Well, it makes sense because, you know, American Express is more of like an exclusive credit card, so only the best for the emperor.
But it kind of throws it off when you see like a nice piece of furniture have like a plaque like that inside of it.
Restored by American Express.
You know, I don't know if they still have that. That was like 5 years ago.
All right, but, so last up, we're still in China. So the Wudang Mountains in China are a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and this area has been the center of Taoism in China for many, many centuries, since the Tang Dynasty. And you know, the earliest buildings, such as the Five Dragon Temple, they date back to the Tang Dynasty, with other buildings and palaces having been added in the Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties. And there are actually 53 buildings surviving today, built on the side of this mountain, the Wudang Mountain. And it's the home of Wudang Kung Fu, which that's a soft style of Kung Fu.
It's known for being the only Kung Fu school that teaches its practitioners how to fly. which I think is really interesting.
Well, that's right. I mean, it was made famous in the West in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, because that's the style of kung fu in that movie. And at the end, you know, when you see the girl jump off the bridge, I mean, that's supposedly at the Wudang Temple.
Well, it makes sense because it's on a mountain. Like, it's better. It saves time to fly off the mountain instead of climb down. Right.
No, I mean, she jumped because there was this myth that if you jump, your wish will come true, but you will never be seen again.
Oh, because you die.
No, you float away. You don't die. They don't find your body.
That's what they tell the kids at bedtime.
No, I saw the movie. It happens. She floated off. So, Alan, which one would you like to go to?
I think there's a bunch of cool ones. I want to check out the whatchamacallit. I want to check out the Hanging Temple in China. I think that's really cool. And Petra. I like things that are built into cliff sides. I think it's something really cool about that. You know?
Yeah, I think the Hanging Temple in China. I mean, I've already seen the Taj Mahal trio at the Hudson Blues Festival, so I think maybe the Taj Mahal not so important. But like the Wudang Mountains for me, I love Chinese kung fu. So
yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I would really like to go to Wudang and the Potala Palace. I would like to see.
Actually, the Potala Palace would be. I want to go to Tibet one day.
Well, it's hard to get into Tibet now for foreigners.
It's
but
so expensive.
I would really like to see that. That would be really awesome. So, guys, let us know which one of these you'd like to visit, and if we've missed any really iconic traditional buildings in Asia, please leave that in the comments. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. If you want to know more about traveling in Asia, why not check out Alan's vlog channel? What have you got on there, Alan?
Well, I just came back from the Philippines, and hopefully I'll be doing some more traveling later on this year all over Asia.
Okay, so check out Alan's vlogs from the Philippines. We'll see you next time on Only in Asia.